Hello and welcome to another Intro to Programming and Database tutorial. In this tutorial, we will going to be expanding on our examples that we did in our last tutorial. In the last tutorial, we modularized the code. So we pretty much created several sub-procedures and they were all being called from main. As you can see from here, that we had college info as one of our sub-procedures that tells information about the college. Then we have campuses that tells information about the campuses. And then we have centers that gives information about the centers. Now we want to modularize this code such that we want to be able to pass a value from the main into the body of college info, which will allow college info to display the number of employees. So instead of number of employees being hard-coded, we want to be able to control the number of employees right from the main module or the main sub-procedure. So in order to do that, we will going to be using the concept of parameter passing. Now when you pass a parameter, we need to tell the underlying system that there will going to be a value coming over. So when we need to tell that to a sub-procedure, we need to declare a variable and we need to tell the data type of the variable so that the system will know what to expect or what kind of value to expect in this kind of a variable. Now one thing that needs to be noticed here, that when we are declaring parameters, we do not use the word dim that is used in the variable declaration. We use the rest of the syntax exactly the same way. We just do not use the word dim. So for example, college info will receive the number of employees from users. So we're going to say, okay, dim is dropped. We'd rather start writing our variable name from the name of the variable, which is amp count is the name that I'm giving to this variable as integer, because that seems to be a better choice rather than using double or any of those other data types. They're not going to make a lot of sense in this context. So we have amp count as integer. That is the variable that we have used here. Now, the moment I click outside of that line, now this line turns into blue because the method call, the sub-procedure call, does not matches the actual sub-procedure anymore. Because the call says college info takes no parameter, however the college info takes a parameter. So I'm better off passing a parameter here. So for now, I'm going to hard code a parameter, let's say 200. So now the moment I type that and I click outside of that line, the error goes away because now it matches. I'm passing 200 and I'm receiving a 200 in a variable called amp count. Their data types match. Everything is perfect. Now I need to change this line that says the number of employees 950 and replace that with a concatenation operator and amp count. So I now want to display the value of the number of employees which is being held inside the variable. So now the method or the procedure itself does not hold the count. Rather, it is being passed from the main into the body of the sub-procedure. Now when we try running this sub-procedure, you will going to notice that the employee count is now 200, which is the value that we have passed from the main. Now what we're going to be doing in main is we'll be accepting this value from user, so that's main is not hard coding the value. Now when we do that, of course now we're going to be using dim to declare the variable. So we're going to call amp count as integer. Now we're going to accept the value from user pretty much like that we have accepted in this class. Enter employee count, amp count equals to, convert to an integer because the incoming value is of type string. So now we are storing a value that's coming from the user in a local variable called amp count, and then we're going to give that variable amp count over to the call. So instead of 200, I'll replace that with an amp count. So we're going to accept a value from user. Whatever value the user enters, we're going to pass that value into the body of college info. So amp count will simply ask this amp count. So this amp count will ask this amp count that here is a value that I want you to take. And the value will be copied from the memory location of this emp count to the memory location of this emp count. Now sometimes it could be misleading, so we're going to be clearing some of the concepts later on in this tutorial, but let's first try to run this. So here when I try to run it, it asks how many employees work for this organization. I enter 450, and as I press enter, you will see, okay, the number of employees is 450. So we are through with this. Now let's work with some of the confusions here. Sometimes people think that the variable name emp count inside the main and the variable name emp count inside the college info must be named the same. That's the only way they can figure out that the emp count and emp count match, which is totally incorrect. What should be same is their data types, should be compatible. There is nothing in the name of the variable. As you have noticed in the past case, I passed 200 into emp count. It just took it. You didn't complain that I have no matching names. So let's try to change the matching names. So instead of calling this emp count, well, I'm going to call this one e count. All the occurrences of emp count, I'm going to replace with e count. So in the main, it is e count, e count, e count. In the college info, it is emp count. So I'm basically calling college info, and I'm passing this variable e count, which is local to main. So what basically gets passed over is not the variable. What basically gets passed over is the value. So the value from the e count is being passed over into emp count. Now let's try to run it to test this code. So as we are running, we're saying, okay, employee count is 567. Employee count is 567. So the names are not important. What's important over here is the data type. So in this tutorial, we have learned how to accept a value from the main and pass that value as a parameter over to another function. Now some terminologies. In programming terminologies, the variable in both cases, when it is on the procedure call, it's called the parameter. So in both cases, it is called a parameter. However, or the argument. Both words are used, parameter or argument. Both terminologies are used. Okay. Now what's different is that on the passing side, on the caller side, it is called the actual parameter. And on the receiver side, it's called the formal parameter. Those are the differences in the naming conventions. Otherwise, they're pretty much called parameter passing. So you pass a value from a procedure to another procedure. This is how you pretty much break down your logic. And after you break down your logic, it gives you a little bit of flexibility of controlling one sub-procedure from another sub-procedure. So in this tutorial, we have pretty much learned how to pass a single value from a caller to called. In the next tutorial, we're going to learn how to pass multiple values from the caller to the called. Thank you for watching this tutorial. Have a good day.